Alright, boys and girls, this is lesson 1.13, finding perimeter of squares and rectangles. Make sure you get that written in your math journal with the date. I'm sorry, in your math notebook with the date. Yep, that'll work. Okay, so the first thing is this math message. This is in your math journal. Yes, I actually journaled that time. So go ahead and get to this page. It is on page 32 for you. And the first question says, find the perimeter of the square that's there to the left. And then talk about how you found that perimeter. And it's showing it in feet, right? So then it asks, how many inches is that? And explain how you converted from feet to inches. You can actually do this work in your math journal. You don't have to do it in your notebook. Pause this, and once you have this completed, come back and check. So here you go. So the perimeter of the square is 8 feet. Here is an example answer. It doesn't have to be yours, but here's an example. See if you can figure out how we got this. So I added all 4 sides. So 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 8 feet. Or we could have said I multiplied the side by 4, so 4 times 2 equals 8 feet. And how many inches is that? Well, the answer to that is 96, and one way that you could have gotten that would have been to remember that there are 12 inches in 1 foot, so 8 times 12 would get you to 96. The 8 is how many feet there were. Each one of those 8 feet would have 12 inches, so 8 times 12 equals 96 inches. Okay, hopefully you have that. Now, continuing on in your math journal, this next section, asking you to do the same work. What's the perimeter? Now you see that we're actually looking at a rectangle. Don't forget that squares all have the same length, and that all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. So, if a rectangle, like the one we're seeing, isn't a square, how do you find the perimeter for that? So write down what you think, and then write an equation for the perimeter of that rectangle. We've been doing equations, so make sure you give that your best effort. Come back to the video after you have that done. Here's what we would say. 48 is the perimeter, 48 inches that is. And an equation that we could have written would be 15 plus 15 plus 9 plus 9 equals 48 inches. I hope that makes sense to you. I thought this was a really fun visual to help us remember that when we're talking about perimeter, we're staying on the rim. We're walking ourselves around. So if you can imagine walking yourself around, here, let's just kind of draw that along. So we're starting here and we're saying perimeter. And we have to go all the way around on the lines to get the perimeter. So anyways, I thought that was a nice visual. Hopefully that will help you out if you get that one confused with area, which we'll be talking about soon. So we want to talk about coming up with a rule, or I could say creating a formula to find the perimeter of a rectangle. There's actually several different ways that we could do that work, and then therefore several different formulas. So I just jotted down the main ones that I've heard kids say over the years, and they all work. So go ahead and jot these down for yourself. I know that's a lot of writing for you, but it will prove to be very beneficial for you to make sure that you know these. So let's just walk ourselves through them. So we're adding the measure of the 4 sides. The perimeter of the rectangle could be length plus width plus width. The formula for that would be P for perimeter equals L plus L, length, plus W plus W, which would be width plus width. So there's the formula for it. Or I could add the two given sides and double the sum. So the perimeter of the rectangle would be 2 times the length plus the width. So the formula for that would be perimeter equals 2 times L plus W. Lastly, I could do double the length, double the width, and then add. So the perimeter of a rectangle would equal 2 times length plus 2 times width. I don't know what that extra H is in there for. Looks like a typo. I'll just cross it off for you so you don't get confused. That does not need to be there. I don't know what that's there for. The formula for that then would be P equals 2L plus 2W. You know, when you put a number bumping right up against a letter, that means to multiply. So that's what that's showing you in a formula. So I've drawn a rectangle at the bottom, a 5-inch by a 6-inch rectangle, and I want you to come up with the perimeter doing each of the formulas that I just went through with you. So in your notebook, draw that, and then write the 3 different formulas. You should come up with the same answer each time. And then once you have that done, come back and check it. So that's what you'd have. 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 6 equals 22. 2 times 5 plus 6 equals 22. And 2 times 5 plus 2 times 6 equals 22 inches. Those would be the correct ones. If you don't have that, don't panic. We'll be going over it again in class together, but try and go back and see where your error is if you have one. And now the bottom part of the page that we were working on earlier. Measure the length and width of your math journal. And then come up with 2 different rectangular objects, but not in your classroom, at your house, because that's where you'll be doing it. So we can correct that to say in your house. Oh boy, let's write it out here. House. Measure to the nearest inch, record the measurements. And then use the measurements to find the perimeter of each object. So that's work that you're going to do. After you're finished with the math journal, you can check your answer. That'll be on the next slide. That's what you should see. And then you see that doing this work, you're meeting a lot of the 4th grade standards. That's always important to make sure that you know that's what we're up to, moving you forward. So I hope that you end up with this same work on this page, and then you filled in 2 others for practice. Okay, then you're going to be working on this page in your math journal, and I believe this page will be page, let me just verify that for you, 33 in your journal. So I'd like you to do each of these problems. You have the formulas written right at the top of the page for you, so you could choose which one you would like, and that will just be fine. Those questions are pretty straightforward. The next one, so at the bottom of page 33, I thought number 5 might be a little tricky, so I thought I'd just quick go over that with you. So it says, Munja's parents are building a deck. A diagram is to the right. They want the perimeter to be 44 feet. So you can already fill that in up on that line, right? One side must be 12 feet long. What is the measurement of the width? So be careful. I think some people will try and race through this, and you're going to get it incorrect. Take your time and think about why I'm probably pausing you on that one as you're solving it, and you will be fine. All right, we'll talk about this in class.